Right, so how you doing? Hope you're all right. Another video for you. Right, so this one is about doors and how I make my doors. This one, I'm a traditional carpenter. So I first did my apprenticeship in 1987. Might have been 86, 87. I think I did it. In a joinery shop, making windows, doors and all that stuff. We used to make it traditional way. I changed about 4 or 5 years ago from the traditional method to plant-ons. So I do plant-ons now. And the reason I changed is years ago you just couldn't get away with it. You would glue a strip onto your board, and what would happen is they'd curl, because what's happening is the glue's drying and it's sticking together and it's curling the ends up. Nowadays, with the way the boards and the materials what are coming out, it's completely changed since I started. I use the Fencer MDF Hydrofugo. Now I'll only use this board because it shouldn't even be called MDF because it just doesn't react like MDF. It's a fantastic board. Literally, because I spray all my own stuff as well, and there's a lot of carpenters out there who don't spray their own stuff. They haven't got the facilities, or they don't want to get into it. If you've got this room to do it, I recommend it fully, because you've got control of your work. So if there's a little mark on it, you can just take it back to the workshop and spray it. You haven't got the hassle of relying on somebody else. Anyway, so I use this Hydrofugo. I use a 12mm and I use a 6mm plant-on. Now the 6mm is the water resistant stuff, MDF, just the normal stuff what you get out of Champions Timber or places like that. I get all my sheet material, which is the stuff what you can see behind me, which is the carcass material, all comes from a firm called Stella Foam. They're in Rainham in Essex, great firm. They deliver every Wednesday around in my area, so I know where they're doing. If you want to go onto their website, go onto their website. There's actually a map on there. It shows you where they deliver, and it'll be a day they deliver. So I'm in Surrey, near Reigate, so they deliver by me on every Wednesday. So I know every Wednesday that I don't do any fitting on a Wednesday. I know it gets delivered. Anyway, this is about doors. So because the materials have changed so much over the years, I started doing plant-ons. The time it used to take me to do the traditional method and the machinery, and it was just, I think I got expensive. I think my prices were expensive for what they got, but it was justified because the amount of time I put into the work. So when I started using the plant-on method, I can turn around my work quicker, and also I can spray it the same day. So if I'm doing a plant-on door now, if I made this door, I can undercoat this straight away, and then I'm away, you know. So this is why. So anyway, let's get on with the plant-on. So 12mm MDF Hydrofugo from Fencer I use the 6mm plant-ons. These are the 6mm. Now, what you got to remember is when you make these doors, the two sides always go top to bottom, and then you fit in the middle. It's just like how you make a traditional door. So you'd have your two rails, which is the size of the door, the two sides, and then you'd have a top and bottom, and then it clamps together. So you make it the same. So if you're doing angle doors, don't get confused and to put the top one in fully. Always start off with the two sides straight up, and then it goes individually like that. Now, what you can do, you can have a bit of a problem getting this. If you've got a long door, say this is 2 meters long, I think it's about 2 meters long. What happens is you're going to use Mitre Bond. Now I use this Mitre Bond. Don't get into this CT1 bandwagon of paying 12 quid for that and 5 quid for that, or whatever it is. This is in Screwfix, $7.99. Just buy this. It works perfect. You'd actually, if you want to take this off, if you've put this in the wrong place and want to take it off, you'll actually damage the board before you actually get it off. It's that good of a glue. Now, when you're doing these long ones, you're gonna get, it needs to be right on the edge like that, because when I get a sheet of this in, I cut it up into 65mm. Set the table saw 65mm and rip it all down. So I've got loads of these underneath the bench. So if I ever need it, I'll just pull it out. So I've always got stock of these. So I do 65mm, then I run the router down that side, and I run the router down that side, and then I sand it. So I sand it all up, because the worst thing is if you're making it and you wanna, and you're painting it, is that being unsanded, and it's on your door like that, and you've got to try and sand underneath there. So what I do is I run them all at 65mm. I stand them all on the edge like that. I'll clamp about 10 together, and sand the whole lot, and then spin it over and sand the other side. So that's prepared. So that is all. So if I need to make a door, these strips are all done. So if I've set the saw up, I want to whack them all off and get rid of the board. So the board's not here, they're all in strips. So I do 65mm. Now, another tip is, if you've got to get this, you start at one end and you're on your own, like I'm on my own, and you're trying like this, because you've got to get your hands over the end of that. So when you come to your end of your board, you want your hands, and you want to feel that that is smooth at the bottom, at the edge, so the edges are touching. But you've got your board there. You're trying to get this in, and you can find it difficult, and that can touch the board and it can stick. Little tip I use from when I'm laminating. Get yourself a level, an old level. This is an old Stabilo one I got. You can see all the glue marks on the top. What I do with this, just slide it underneath like that. So now that's off. Don't use any timber, because the timber will just stick to it and create a lump underneath it. So now you're able to walk to the other end of your work and start gluing all the way down. You get to about here, that's now stuck. You can get that out of the way, and then you can concentrate on the last bit. So a little tip, use a level or something metal. So when you go down, you can work your way down it and not worried that this is going to touch this end. And that's what happens when I do the plantons. And that's why I've changed. The materials are so good now that you can. Now and again, you will get a kink. Now, say this is a door. You might get a little, there's some of these boards, when you cut these boards in half, you'll do a straight line down the middle, and there'll be a bigger gap in the middle because the board's under stress. So when you cut it, you'll cut yourself a dead straight line. You've not moved your rail saw, but when you put the boards back together, there'll be a gap in the middle. Only a mil, cut the mil, because the boards are under stress. So when you glue something on the top of this, what this wants to do is to lift up. The old MDF just used to lift it. It just, because you was putting a denser material on a medium fibre board. So that's what MDF stands for. Because these fences are denser and it's a better board, they're fantastic boards, so you don't get a curl. If you're going over 2 meters, say 3 meters, you might get a little, it might lift up, you might notice it lift off your bench a little bit. Don't worry about it. Hinge positions is important, because what you can do, you can manipulate the board. So I always come in, if I've got a square door like that, I always come in 100 mil, because I know I'm not going to miss any, I'm not going to hit any shelves. And then from there to there, I'll divide it up equally. Nothing over 600 mil. So if I divide it up and it comes in at, so I've divided that up at 4 equal parts and it comes in at 605 mil or 610 mil, I will then drop another inch on. So then I'll divide it into an extra space. I don't want any of my hinges to be more than 600 mil. So I'll drop one in and divide it equally into 5 equal spaces instead of 4 equal spaces. Now this can help you. And the reason this can help you is you can then, because the hinges we use, you can manipulate the hinges. So if your door is kinked out slightly like that at the top, where it's a long door. Some you'll get, some will be perfect, some, but you might get the odd one what kinks out slightly. What you can do is you can pull this hinge in, or you can push that hinge out. So you can manipulate your hinges to get your door to touch at the top of the carcass and to the bottom of the carcass by just moving each individual hinge. So never go over 600. This, me personally, I'll never go over 600. You can buy a box of 20 hinges, the ones I use. You buy a box of 20 hinges for about 25, 30 quid. So they're £1 a hinge, £1.50. So dropping another hinge in is not going to break the bank. And when you come to hang them doors, you can then, if it's not quite touching at the top there, if you bring this hinge out, you can pull it in and then pull that one in to manipulate the hinge to get them doors running nice. It's very rare using the fencer and the green 6mm that it will happen, but sometimes you might notice that one has got a slight little kink. Don't worry about it. And that's it, and that's why I use the plantons now, because if I was to do it traditional method now, my price would probably go up, I don't know, 30%, might go up 20%. By using this method, still getting the quality I want, I can bring my prices down and the clients are happy, they're getting a good quality product, and I'm happier. I'm still earning the same amount of money that I was doing the old traditional method. So that's why I'm doing plantons now. I only do 12, so it's a stronger board. I don't do a 9 and 9, I do a 12 and a 6. If you do 9 and 9, the problem is with the 9 and 9 method is you've got a 9mm board, so it's slightly thinner, but you've got a 9mm strip on your door. Now what can happen with a 9mm strip, it can end up being a dust trap for the client. Because it's 9mm, it's going to carry more dust, and it's just I found it when I did some panelling on some wall. I did 9mm and 9mm, and it just ended up, I went round again and seen it, and you could just see the dust line on the top of it. And so I only do 12 and 6, and only use the Fencer Hydrofugo. You can get it from a place called Stella Foam, Rainham in Essex. Google it, there's other places do it. There'll be a place near you that does it. Anyway guys, have a nice day. I hope this helps you out. But yeah, don't go over 600 with your hinge. And also with this Hydrofugo, when you put your edge to edge like that, now you've done this method, you're getting it spot on. When you sand the edge, 240 paper, and it's done. You're not sanding back and sanding back and sanding back, because the fibres in this MDF are more dense, so you'll get a much better finish and a better quality product if you use this. It is more expensive than MDF. It's probably 30% more, but you're going to get no callbacks, you're going to get no hassles, and that 30% you're going to save by not sanding the bleeding edges off too much. Right, speak to you later. I'll put some links in the bio for Stella Foam, and go on their website and have a look. I'll drop some in the comments. Speak to you soon.